Hello, hello, and welcome, my friends. This is the Mid-Year Marketing Review and Reflect workshop. I am aware that there's something strange going on with my Zoom link. As I know, most of you are watching this through the replay anyway. So, for those of you who are going to come and join me live, if you're able to get through and utilize the link, then hopefully I will bring you in. But at this point, I'm just going to get started because more than anything, like I said before, I know that a lot of you end up just watching this on the replay. So I figured that I would go ahead and wait a few more minutes to see if anybody else will come in. But at this point, I think that it's just going to be me talking about the mid-year marketing review and reflect stuff that I wanted to share with you today. And one of the things that I wanted to say before I get started today is I wanted to let you know that there are a lot of sections here where I'm asking like a gazillion questions about things. Think about this, think about this, think about this. My advice to you is because when I've done these workshops for you guys before with the questions and all of that, you can do one of two things, especially if you're watching this on the replay. You can watch it all the way through once and then just kind of take down some notes in between. Or as you're watching the replay, you can hit the pause button. And then from the pause button, then you can do a screen grab. You can do a screenshot or whatever it is you want to call it, for all of the questions on there. There's going to be a ton of questions for you. And what I want you to do is if you are in a space where you feel good that you want to do a full on review and answer every one of those questions, by all means, go for it. Because it's also going to help you dig in deeper into what's been going on with your marketing. What are the numbers showing you? What is the information showing you so that you know what to review, what to reflect on, and what to keep moving forward with for momentum. The other thing that it's going to help you do is you may also, as you're looking through those questions, there might be one or two that really resonate with you, and you want to go really in depth into them. So those are two different ways that you can move through this whole process. Either one works for you fine. So go through the whole thing and listen and take some notes, or hit the pause button every now and then and let it know, and stop it and take a screen grab. All right, so it looks like we are at our 11 o'clock time frame. So I'm going to get us started today. And I'm making sure that I didn't get any messages from somebody with somebody issues, but you know what? Let's just keep going here. So let's jump right into this today. For those of you who have not met me before, I'm going to introduce myself. And my name is Penny, and I have been working, I haven't had a business for 26 years. And 2010 had started me teaching, and I've taught way over 125 social media workshops at the National Entrepreneur Center because I am located here in the Orlando area. I've worked with hundreds of small business owners. And why this is important is because I want you to know that the work that I'm doing here with you is not just about for people who are for people who are coaches or consultants. It's for people who are any kind of small business owners. So I wanted to let you all know that I have worked with people who have done everything from from small businesses to online selling, coaches, consultants. So the work that we're going to go through today, the information that I'm going to be sharing with you, is not just say, oh, this is just for coaches, or this is just for somebody who's selling, a product on Etsy. This type of information that I'm going to share with you is going to be for all small businesses. And as a small business owner, I actually have two businesses. I have the consulting that I've been doing for 25 plus years. And then I've also got the Create Your Business Marketing program that has the content development group of the Marketing Strategy Collective. Okay. So I think that I've got somebody showed up. So I guess my link is not having issues. I'd heard from some people that the Zoom link was causing some issues, and so I didn't know what was going on. So it looks like Samantha's here. So I'm glad to see that the link worked for you. Thank you so much for joining me live, Samantha. All right, let's jump into this today because what we're going to be doing is we are going to get into this. So I want to talk about your mid-year marketing review. And I want to talk about why this is so important for your growth. And then I want to talk about the things that I want you to review. What's going to be driving results? What's wasting your time? What can you improve upon? What needs tweaking? And then I'm going to go through specific strategies and action steps that you can use because it's not just about learning all this information, it's understanding what this information means and how it can help your business. So let's get into this thing. And as I said to you before, at the beginning of it, and I'm going to repeat it again, and I'll probably repeat it so those of you who are jumping in throughout the workshop, or if you are watching on the replay because something weird is going on with my Zoom link. Ugh, technology. Okay. So I wanted to let you all know when we go through all of these questions, answer the ones that speak to you. If you do feel really strongly about answering all of them that I'm going to talk through, hit the pause button, especially on the replay, and do a screen grab so that you can get all of those questions. So let's talk a little bit about why it's so important for this mid-year marketing review. Doing a marketing review isn't about judging that, oh, I didn't do this right, or this didn't happen, or, I was not consistent with my marketing. That's not what we're doing with the review. It's not to look at the things that you have done wrong. It's so that you can get clarity, so that you can see results. Because you can't change what you don't understand. You can't fix if you don't know that it's broken. And that's the whole point about doing this mid-year review, because it gives us the time and the space to actually review what's been going on for the first 6 months of the year and how we can move into the last part of the year. So this matters for you because it's going to do everything from helping you with productivity. If you see results, you don't see the stuff that you're looking at. This gives you the opportunity to have real data. You now have 6 months of data. You have 6 months of data from your social media insights. You have 6 months of data from your Google Analytics, and you can start to make adjustments. Imagine learning all this information in December when you're trying to get ready for 2026, and you didn't know that in the middle of the year that something had happened that you could actually fix. You could actually help you rework your goals, refine your processes, and help you to keep moving forward. And it also gives you the focus. It gives you focus on reviewing your marketing from where you are now, and it's able to focus on a manageable number of initiatives. One of the things that we're going to go through today is if we're going to talk about things that are working for us, but we're also going to talk about the things that are not working for us. And the things that are not working for us, there's a really good chance that they're pulling your focus away from where you want to be and what you need to be doing. So this marketing review gives you the time to evaluate and prioritize what's coming up for the next year, what's coming up for the rest of the year, what ideas and opportunities are going to help you achieve your goals and to stay in alignment with what you're doing. What are the activities that you could be looking at? So this is what we're doing with our review. And it also gives you what I refer to as data-based decisions. And I spoke about this a few minutes ago. You could look at everything after 12 months has happened, but that becomes old information. And right now, if you're looking at January through, May, it's fresh. It's information that's happening right now versus what's going on at the end of the year. So this gives you real-time data, real-time analytics to help you to track what's going on faster and more accurately. So now if we talk about this, we talk about this from the sense of this is the middle of the year. Like you've got 6 months worth of metrics. What I want you to do, and you're going to hear me say this all the time throughout this whole workshop. And so I hope that this kind of drills into your head. You're going to look for patterns. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at your goals of what you had set for yourself at the beginning of the year. I'm glad to see people are getting through. Thank you. I guess you didn't have, it's sorry to say this, but there's something weird going on with the Zoom link. So I apologize for those of you who are watching this on the replay and you couldn't get through, but thank you for those of you who are here with me live today. Okay, so let's get back into this. So why this is mattering, this matters so much for your business, because when you compare what your goals are in the original plan of where you thought you were, are you at that midway point? What was the goal that you were trying to achieve this year? Are you on track with that? Because what's happening is if things are evolving and changing, like maybe a product that you are going to be selling or a service that you're going to be offering or something different that's going to be happening in your business at the end of the year, that plan that you set in place at the beginning of the year is no longer valid. So you need to make sure that if your business is evolving, your marketing needs to be evolving as well. Okay, so why should we be setting these goals to begin with? And I'm not just talking about the number of people that are following you, because I mean, for some people, that's a goal. But I want you to think about the goals that are going to help you grow your business. And these are the things that you're going to use to check your progress to see what's working and what's not working. And we can get into this too if you have questions for me, especially for those of you who are with me live. If you have specific questions about your goals, let me know that as well, because I have time in between the sections of the slides to take questions. And the other thing that you're going to be doing with your mid-year review is it's going to make sure that you have developed a system to track your progress. If you are not tracking your progress, and I don't mean just going to your social media platforms every week and say, okay, I got 3 new followers. Okay, I got, this is a top post. Yay, something happened. Maybe I'm viral. I mean, more than that. There needs to be a way that you're monitoring what's happening. How are you moving forward? So the internal analytics for the social sites, are you doing more than just following, tracking your follower counts? Are you looking at engagement? Are you looking at the audience, the breakdown of who the audience is? Those are the type of things. And I want you to think about this from a place of you're setting up a tracking system, but don't make this complicated. And I'm going to give you an example here. One of the things that I do every single month is not only am I planning out my content for the next month, I have I call it review goals and reflect time of the month every single month. And I block this off because it's a priority to me, just like I would with a client session. Everything's a priority. So what I ended up doing was there are certain things that I track in my business. Everything from my Google Analytics, I look at the landing pages, how did they find me? Are they coming organically? Are they coming through social media posts? What social media sites are they coming from? I get real specific because I want to know where my traffic is coming from. So if I know where my traffic is coming from, then I can do more of that. So when I started tracking my numbers, I couldn't find anything that allowed me to track the things that I personally track. So I literally just set up a Google Doc. I put a table on it, and then I put the platform that I'm monitoring, I put the numbers that I'm tracking, and then I put like a little box next to it that said, what happened? It is that easy. So I put my numbers on there. I put the numbers that I'm tracking, if it's like open rates on my email, engagement on Pinterest or something like that. I write all that number down and then I have a little box on the end, which I put little notes to myself about what happened. Did I buy Pinterest ads? Did I, do extra YouTube videos or something like that? I'm allowing myself to put these notes down because I know that when I check them and I can compare 1 month to the next month to the next month, I don't always remember the little things that happen. And so that little note to be able to say what happened gives me an indication as I'm moving through the year about what are things that are working and what things that are not. But you see what I'm talking about? How this tracking system is just super easy. It's just the name of the platform, my numbers that I'm tracking, and what happened. Don't make this complicated because if you try to make it complicated, you're going to figure out every excuse in the book not to do it. And that's not the point of this. We want to make sure that we're doing something and paying attention to what we're monitoring, paying attention to what's going on. And that's the whole reason behind my little note about what happened. Because I don't just check my numbers and walk away. I learned to adjust my goals. So this is one of the things that happened to me over the years when I started to realize, because I was tracking my numbers, that Facebook was no longer working for me. Facebook was no longer becoming an active part of something that I could use to connect me to customers. Point blank, end of story. Facebook was not doing that because of the numbers. And I knew it because I was tracking it. So what I did was I adjusted my goals. I adjusted my time and I took all that energy and all that content that I was doing on Facebook and moved it over to LinkedIn. And then when I started tracking LinkedIn, I was able to see that I was reaching more people. I was reaching the customers that I needed to be talking to. So it made sense to me, but I didn't know this information until I started tracking it. So this is what you want to do. You want to not just look at the numbers, but you have to adjust your goals and think about how if your business is shifting and changing as the year goes on, your goals may no longer be beneficial to your, I mean, being on Facebook was no longer beneficial to me. What I needed to do was take that time and that energy and that content and move it someplace where it was being efficient. So I want you to think about it from that place. Because if your goals are not on track with your business, let them go. And if you think that you need to do everything and be everywhere to everyone, I'm going to give you the permission right now to stop fighting this and stop holding on to things that are not contributing to the success of your business, that are using your time, that are using your energy, affecting your productivity, all of those things combined. Let it go. And the reason you know what to let go of is through the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. So this is what we're going to be talking through today. I want to talk some more about this, the success of your mid-year review. When I get to a section like this, you guys who are here with me live, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat so I can make sure that I can see your questions and I can answer them directly for you. But what we want to talk about now is you obviously can see now the importance of doing your mid-year review. Now I want to talk about the actual data itself and how this data is going to give you some clarity. And as I always say, if you are looking for some help with this, we would love you to join us at the Marketing Strategy Collective on Patreon, because one of the things that you can do as a collective member is you get to participate in next week's implementation session. So for those of you who are in the collective that are watching this on the replay, we're going to be now taking that information and applying it directly to your business in the implementation session. And I do have a space open. So if anybody here with me live wants that space, message me and I will get that to you. All right. So let's jump right into this now, this next session. Because here's the thing, and I'm going to say this. Most of the people that I work with, most of the times that we do these kinds of marketing reviews, it somehow or another comes down to social media follower counts. And I referred to them as vanity metrics because it's really, really great when somebody lands on your Instagram account and you've got 10,000 followers. But what if you've got 10,000 followers and only 100 people are engaging? And what if I had 500 followers on Instagram, but I had 499 people engaging? So it's really not about those numbers. It's about the qualified people who are engaging with you. So that's why just checking our vanity numbers, checking our follower counts is never a good judge of your marketing plan. It's not the way that we're going to track momentum. It's not the way that we're going to track connecting to our customers. And it's not about, how can I go viral? Because going viral is not something that's going to, grow your business. It could give you a spike. It will give you a spike in followers. It will give you a spike in some content, engagement, call to actions, click-throughs, or whatever it is that you're monitoring at that point. But again, are these people going to be the ones that are going to be the qualified customers? Are these the ones that are going to buy from you? So I want you to do this. Okay, so here's where we're going to get started. So this is the section I was telling you about earlier. I'm going to start asking a whole bunch of questions about this. So for those of you who are on here live, feel free to take some notes, write some things down. But if you want to go back through this and on the replay and hit the pause button and do screen grabs or write down stuff, please do. Because the more questions that you answer, the more you're going to dig, or I can't speak, the more you're going to dig deeper. That's what it was. I was trying to make two words into one word, digger. It sounds like something you call your dog. You're going to dig deeper. Thank you. Get back on track. Dig deeper into the work that you're doing. So go ahead, write down your numbers. I know you want to do this, but don't just write down your follower numbers. Pick another goal. Look at engagement numbers. What have you been tracking? Um, Likes, comments, shares. I want you to look at that stuff and then look at your numbers, not just in your social platforms, but all your other platforms. Your email list. How many subscribers do you have? If you've never checked your email list, set up a baseline. Where are you right now? How many subscribers do you have? What's your open rate? What's your click rate? Get yourself a baseline of this information. Go to Google Analytics. Again, if you've never checked it, look at your landing pages. How are people coming to your website? Are they coming from organically, meaning that they've run a search on Google and they found you that way because of SEO keywords? Or are they coming in through social media? Which social media platform? Think about all this kind of stuff. And if, like I said, if you've never done this before, use this as a baseline. And think about the stuff that you're going to be start tracking, because what I want you to start thinking about as you're moving forward, and if there's something you've not done before and you set your baseline now, I want you to track these things. And I'm going to go into detail with each one of these specific things. Your top performing content, your offers and your products, the ones that converted, as well as the ones that didn't. That's an important piece too. Content that was aligned with your time and energy. Again, I'm going to get into this specifically, but I just wanted to give you this list. And the call to action, your CTA, your call to action, what worked and what didn't. All right, let's get into each one of these. So, your top performing content, I want you to look at this, not just social media. Look at your emails, look at your landing page. What's driving engagement? What is getting people to take action? Is the email driving them to something on your website? Is the website converting people into customers? What we can do here when we see this path, this funnel, we can see where there's a disconnect too. We can see if people are going from our social media and going to our website, that's a good engagement. But if we hit the website and they're not converting, there's the disconnect right there. So this is what we're doing when we're looking at numbers. Again, it's not about judging ourselves for this didn't work and this sounded so good and this headline was crap and this image. I want you to move past that. I want you to look for the patterns. What was the topic of the engagement? Was there something that was There's something that every time you talk about this, every time you do a video about this, every time you do a post about this, every time you email about this, people react to that. What was that? What was that topic? And you can tell by looking at this information. What was the format? Meaning, was it a video? Was it a reel? Was it a YouTube short? Was it something shorter? Was it a long form piece of blog post? What was it? Get real specific with it, because what we want to do is we want to look for patterns. Our patterns are going to show us how our customers are interacting with our content, with our marketing, what's working and what's not. And now let's take a look at our offers and products. And I mean all of them. And I mean the ones that you even put out there that did not do so well. But which ones led people to the sales pages, to book a call or to buy? Think about the content that you use. Did you use an email sequence that when somebody got a free download from a blog post, that particular email sequence led them to buy, a low end product. And then that low end product got them onto your group program. Think about that, because what you're doing is you're looking and you're examining your sales funnel. You're looking at your offers and your products from that perspective, that it's a sales funnel. And you'll be able to see by looking at each piece and part. So if they came here, they went and did this. Then they came here and then they did this. Or they didn't do this. And these are the pieces and parts that you want to pick up. And you also think about the objections. Were there objections that you heard? Did people send you emails? Did they give you, DM messages? Was there things in the comments that people had said? Think about those. Are those things if these objections are things you're hearing, are they listed on your sales pages? Are they listed on your website? Somebody's giving you the copy and telling you what their objections are. It's your job not to sell them this product, but to sell them the solution of this objection that they're looking for. So think about that from that place. I call it the customer buyer's journey, sales funnel. whatever words you want to use. It's the same thing. It gets people to be aware of your products and your business, to considering them as a solution, to making the decision to buy. And again, we start looking for patterns. Look for patterns about what's working and what's not. And I want you to think too, another thing is your content. And I don't mean the content of the content itself, but one of the pieces and parts that I work with my clients about too is I always find that when we are able to create content that's aligned with who we are, that comes natural to who we are, and it builds on our strengths, we are more likely to stay consistent. We are likely to come across as being very confident. We are likely to convert more people because of the tone and everything that's coming across. So think about what came naturally to you and think about what felt off and you made excuses not to get it done. If you're one of these people who's like, I can't be on video, I don't like my voice, I don't like the way that I look, and look at me, I talk with my hands because I talk with my hands constantly all the time. If you ever heard me on my podcast, every case, at least once a podcast, you hear me smack the microphone because I can't not talk with my hands. That's who I am. But I figured out what worked for me. So if you are a person who likes to write, if you are a person who feels very confident with your writing school skills, me telling you to show up on a video every single week is not something that feels in alignment to who you are. It's not something that you feel comfortable doing. So you will find an excuse. Oh, I don't like my hair today, or you know what? I have face breaking out. I don't like my voice. I don't know what to do with myself. So I'm just going to figure out something. So if that's not working for you, find out what does. So if writing works for you, think about other opportunities for you, not just blogging on your website. You can be on LinkedIn Publisher. You can put your, you can set up a Substack and start reaching new people that way. All of these opportunities for you to continue to do the things that work for you. So I want you to think about your skill set and what your strengths are, because that is what's going to help you stay consistent. That is what is going to work for you as you continue to move forward with your marketing, because it's not about what people are telling you. It's not what you think you need to do. I want you to look at your content, and I mean the content of it, how you're creating it, your workflow process, how it's all coming together. Again, look for those patterns. If you want to write, write. Don't force yourself to do videos because everybody's telling you to do videos. It's not going to work for you, but writing could. There's a way that we could turn this around, and vice versa. If you don't want to write and you want to do videos, the same thing. And the same thing could go to no matter what type of marketing you're doing. It's just about understanding this and learning how to work with it and not against it. All right, the last thing I wanted to touch on here for this part is your call to action. And I mean by your call to action is telling me what the next step is. It could be something as simple as sign up here, donate here, click the button here. Just tell me what to do next. So take a look at your call to actions. Which ones got clicks? When I told you to sign up for this, did I tell you to join this? Is that what happened? Are you, here's another question that I didn't put on here, but I'm going to put it in here anyway. Instead of me saying, do you need to be more direct in your call to action? Did you even remember to put a call to action in there? Did you just put your post up there and go, thanks, see ya? Thumbs up or emoji or whatever you did. Did you even tell me that I need to take a next step? Did you give me a call to action? Take a look at that. And if you are using call to actions, do you have a tracking process in place to determine what's working with this call to action? Because if you're telling me to go to a landing page, you should be tracking that landing page. If you told me to go to that landing page and you said to click on it in my email, you could be tracking that email clicks to see if I went to the landing page. Do you see what I mean? You can have a tracking process in place with regards to your call to action to see if it's working for you or not, as opposed to just, I don't know, look good. I sounded cute. Think about it from that place. That just sounded so silly how I said that. Um, but sometimes it feels like that. It feels like if you don't know this information, I felt cute, might delete later, that kind of thing. That's not our marketing. That's not what's going to help us. So I want to wrap up this section here with a couple of things here I want to point out. So as we're continuing to review and reflect on things and look at everything, I also want you to take a look at your time and your energy. And that is directly connected to that workflow process. How long does it take versus when do you see the results? Are you doing something and then 6 months later you're starting to see results? That's an important piece to know with your workflow. Are you doing something and a week later you see results? That's a great thing to know. If you are doing something and you're seeing zero results, that's another thing to know. So we want to look at all of these types of things with regards to our time and energy, because as small business owners, that is our biggest commodity, is our time and our energy. That's one of the most valuable things. So I had asked about content that feels good and gets results, same as what I had shared with you last time. But I also want to bring up this. Is there something that's draining your energy, but's not bringing in any return? That's another important piece too, that a lot of people don't want to take the time and think about it. They just want to keep pushing through and pushing through and pushing through because everybody's telling me that I should be on TikTok, or everybody's telling me that I should be, doing this on Instagram. And I'm not seeing anything, and it's just a drain on me, and I have to force myself every single week, and every single week nothing's happening for me, and I still force myself to do this. That's what I mean. Do you find yourself doing that and you're not seeing anything come back from it, but everybody else is telling you that you needed to do it? So not everybody else's business is your business, because if it's not working for your business, you can either find out why it's not working by going through these steps that I just shared earlier, checking analytics, checking click-throughs, checking call to actions. And if everything is there and it's on track, you're in the wrong social media platform because your customers aren't there. It could be something as simple as that. But think about what's draining your energy and not bringing you any return. Because if it's not bringing you any return, just like the goals that we talked about at the beginning of this session, let it go. I am giving you permission to let it go. You can take that time and take that energy and do what I did with regards to Facebook when I took that time and that energy and that really great content that I was creating for that platform and I moved it over to LinkedIn. My goodness, in the first year, I was connecting to customers. I was making sales off of LinkedIn that I never did on Facebook. Never. It brought me my return. And I didn't know this until I really started to investigate and go and do a deep dive on this with my marketing review. And another thing I want to bring up is I want you to also look at, because you are looking at it from the side of you, and you are looking at it from the side of the work that you're doing and what you're putting out there. But I also want you to take a look at what's coming back to you, what your customers are saying, what your community is saying, because sometimes the best data isn't numbers, but real live people. And I want to say real live people because ChatGPT is not a real live person. It's great to brainstorm with him and it's great to have conversations because I do it. Him because I call him Chad. So Chad and I talk these, we go through back and forth and back and forth, but he's not a real person. A real person who's on the end, a real end of the phone that we're looking at. So I want you to look at your DMs, look at the comments, look at the conversations. What are the things that people are talking about or the questions that they ask all the time? What is resonating with your community? They are going to give you the feedback that maybe this thing that you thought was a pain point for them maybe is a little bit of a pain point for them, but they're thinking something way others like this massive pain point for them. And if they're saying this and they're commenting about this and they're saying this to you and they're DMing you about this, pay attention. They're telling you, they're explaining to you what's going on and where they're struggling and how your business can be that way that solves it, can be the thing that solves this for them. So make sure that it's not just paying attention to what's going on that you're doing, that you're putting out there, but what's coming back to you. All righty. So let's now get into some specific action steps that you can take into the second half of the year. So if you take all of that information and you put it all together, you've answered questions, or you even answered some of those questions that were just really resonating, and you could have just written out a full on blog post with some of those questions that I asked you. That's amazing. What's our next step? What do we do with this information and how do we utilize it to actually start to, grow our businesses and to keep the momentum moving forward? So let's take all of this data and discovery and turn it into action. And as I keep saying, this is not about beating yourself up for what didn't work. Not once are you going to hear me say that. This is not a judgment zone. This is not here to say, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, and that's why everything sucks. That's not what we're talking about here. I want you to get honest because when the honesty happens and you really start to look at the numbers and you can see what's going on, it gives you a much better indication about your next steps forward. Because here's the thing. Oh, look at that. Look for patterns because patterns mean things. Patterns are telling us something. Patterns are saying, this, every time I post this, this really does well. Every time I post this, this doesn't do well. Look at the pattern. Look at the pattern of, and I don't mean just the patterns of things that are doing well, but what are the things that are not doing well? What are the things that are the struggle, the energy drain that aren't working? Look at those patterns because the patterns can go through anything about whenever I do something on LinkedIn and I put a selfie on it, it does better. Pattern. Whenever I do a behind the scenes story on an Instagram reel, it always does, double the amount of times. Pattern. That's what I want you to do. I want you to start seeing it. And now that I've turned you on to this idea of it, it's going to be hard for you not to see it. You're going to start to see patterns. You're going to start to see patterns in your call to action. You're going to start to see patterns in the images that you're using, the headlines that you're using, phrases that you're going to start using. And those are the things that we want to repeat because your marketing strategy is not based upon whether you can create a viral post. Your marketing strategy that's going to lead to success is based upon repeated behavior, repeated information that you're sharing out there that your community is engaging with. And that's what we're going to do when we look for these patterns. So when we think about what's working too, what we want to do is when we see these things coming up in the patterns and we see what's working for the people, when my selfies are added into LinkedIn, they work. When I do the behind the scenes, they work. We know what's working. So if we see what's working, we know what to repeat. We know what to focus on. We know to use this information as the roadmap to keep doing it. So what we do is we double down on selfies. We double down on, instead of it just being once a week behind the scenes, let's do it twice. Instead of it, sharing this offer, which does really, really well if we do it once a month, let's do it twice a month. What we're trying to do is we're looking for ways to continually push forward with what's working, what's driving engagement, what's driving the clicks, what's driving sales. And what you want to do is remove the stuff that's not working. So if you have an X number of things that you're posting up on Instagram and you find out that those behind the scenes videos are really working for you, and one of those things is not, you drop that topic and you double up on the behind the scenes because that's what's working. Let's remove what's not. And now we know this because we are able to we're reviewing our content with real data, real information. So think about it from that place because success without understanding is just blind luck. And it's not a marketing strategy because when things are clicking, it's easy to keep doing. It's easy to say, that was really great. I love the fact that that post on LinkedIn did so well, or that was really great. How exciting that I got, double the number of views on my Instagram reel that I normally don't get. That's really great to celebrate that win. And I applaud you for celebrating that win. I would encourage you to celebrate that win. But I want you to also know why it worked. I want you to know, why is it worked? Is it something that you can repeat? Or was that just a one-time spike because maybe you jumped in on a trend? Or maybe you jumped in on a conversation that seemed to be hot topic at that time. And that's where that spike came from. I want you to think about it from that place. Is there a system that you could put in place that you can keep repeating this, that can be sustainable to allow you to continue moving forward with something that's more of a strategy than just crossing your fingers and hoping that it works? And so when we take this information, we are able to uh, use that word that people are always asking for is how do I scale my business? You scale your business off of the things that are working for you. So if the wins are great and the wins are working for you, the growth and scaling your business is not going to happen unless there is an intention to it and there's a purpose for it. And that's where the strategy comes in. That's when we ask ourselves, are there steps that I can automate? Can I repurpose my top performing content? What support do I need to keep this up without having to do more? And support could come from not just bringing in a virtual assistant. Support could be, do I need another program? Do I need to move into more of a productivity type of program like Monday.com or ClickUp or something like that? Is that going to help me make sure that I stay consistent? And so when I'm referring to support, it's not always about hiring somebody. It's about trying to make sure that we can streamline your process even better. So what we want to think about that is we take all of this stuff because a lot of times what's happening to our business is things are working. But I want to make sure that you take what's working and you can double down on it and you can use it to scale what you're doing with your marketing business. So I want to wrap up today. Wow, I went through here quickly, didn't I? I want to wrap up today with a few more thoughts as you're moving through this whole mid-year review process. I want you to do this. I want you to choose three things on your marketing. After you go through your review, after you see what's going on, and I want you to see, is there something that's working? Is there something that's not working? Is there something that I got an idea from? Is there an opportunity available for you? I want you to think about three marketing things that you can do. And I want them to be simple. I want them to be something that you can do without having to spend a lot of money, without having to hire a lot of people, something that you can do. I want you to keep it focused, intentional, and purposeful. Because what's going to happen is these small little moves that you can start making into the year are going to create consistent momentum. So when we think about these three things, I want you to do three things. I want you to think about what you can improve, what needs to be tweaked or fixed, and also what ideas or opportunities came to you. So, what can you focus on? If we think about what needs to be tweaked or what needs to be fixed, what was the weak link? When you ran that review of when I went through that section about the customer buyer's journey, which was also like your sales funnel, was there something in there that you caught? Was there a piece that became the bottleneck? That was the disconnect. Was it coming from your email welcome sequences? Was it because there wasn't a very strong call to action? There was no call to action on my social media post. What was the 3 pages on my website that they were landing on? What was the copy that I was using? Is the copy converting? Take a look at this kind of stuff because these are the things that we want to improve. These are the things that we can fix. And we now know this information because we've got real numbers, real data, and we've started to see the patterns. We're starting to see where people are coming in. We're starting to see where the disconnect happens. We're starting to see how people can keep moving forward to make their purchases. So when we think about it from this place, it is going to be the momentum that you need to keep moving you forward into this year. And it's going to allow you to repeat this success with intention. Like we could take things like we can turn our top performing post into a paid ad. We can use a lead magnet that's been really, such a huge hit from one of our top media, our top social posts and turn this into something that we could, grow our email list. We could take a great piece of content and turn it into a mini series or a video episode. So think about how we can take the things that we're already using, and these are giving us ideas and opportunities to keep doubling down on what's working and to keep utilizing the content that we currently have and helping us make new content that makes sense. That's in alignment and it's going to help our customers. So when we bring all this together, you got your data, you've got your numbers, you know what you're tracking. And my hope is that by now I've given you enough ideas to develop some kind of tracking system, even if it's just as simple as what I do with a Google Doc. and I create a little table with a name of the platform, my numbers I'm tracking, and what happened. Doing something as simple as that. Because when you pull together your insights, I want you to think about it in these three different categories. What do I want to do more of? What would I want to do less of or remove from my marketing plan? And based on what my customers needs, what ideas and opportunities am I going to try? These are the three things that we can take from our review. And this is going to help us reach more people. This is going to help us save our time because we're going to be removing things that's draining us, that's not working for us. And we're going to be able to replace that time with what we're doubling down on, as well as any new ideas and opportunities that we've uncovered from listening to our customers, from looking at the actual data and how people are taking action and engaging with us. So your review comes your roadmap. And if we think about it from this place, it's really simple. And this is the best way that I could sum this up is when you take all that information, I want you to think about this. Choose one thing to improve, choose one thing that you're going to amplify, that you're going to improve, that you're going to double down on, that you're going to do more of, that you're going to repeat more of, that you can expand upon. And choose one more thing to try with intentional steps based upon what you believe that your customers are looking for. And this is what we're going to use to help us move forward into the new year. All righty then. So those of you who join me live, look at that. I was able to move through that a lot quicker than I normally do. But I wanted to bring up the point that we are definitely we've got one more space open for the implementation session, which is next week. So we're going to take everything that we are doing in today's workshop, and we're going to put it over into help you with your business, directly with your business. All right. So I've got a couple people here with me live. Before I let you go, did anybody have questions? Anybody want me to walk through something for them specifically? And I understand this was a lot, a lot. And I appreciate you all showing up considering there's something weird that happened with my Zoom link. And I'm not quite sure. But I'm glad you both showed up and you were able to get through. Yay, technology. Okay. There, way we go. Here's a question. Okay. Oh, great information. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. No question? All right. That's good. I love being told great information. Thank you. Okay. Okay, no problem at all. Just wanted to make sure that while you were here and you had me available to you to answer live questions for you, I am here for you if you needed me. But I'm going to say that I think you guys are all just taking it all in. And that's perfectly fine. And I get that. Totally get that. Okay. Not seeing anything. So once again, so for those of you who joined me today live, thank you so much. I'm really sorry for everybody. Whatever happened to that Zoom link, I don't know. I can't explain it. But you'll be able to watch this on the replay. So that's fantastic for the rest of you who are going to be able to see this. So thank you so much for joining me, either today or if you're watching on the replay. I hope that this has been very helpful for you, and I hope that you're going to be able to use this information to help you develop what's going to be happening for the second half of the year. So stay tuned, everybody, and I look forward to, I guess you're from my email list, see you in my email list, and seeing you online. And thank you so much again for everybody joining me. I appreciate your help and help. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in the community. So thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.